Before we start our show, go ahead and subscribe and click on that bell. Let's go.
This is Ask John and April, where we take your comments and your questions and we respond to them right here. So let's go with the first one, April.
Okay, so from Smooth Caramel.
Yeah.
She asks, what happens when you are tired of doing the same job all the time?
So this is from episode 11, our episode about roles and responsibilities within the relationship. We talked a lot about household chores, and we talked about how when you divide the chores between you, there's usually better relationship harmony. What are you supposed to do when you get to a particular chore that you've been doing for a while and you don't want to do it anymore?
Yeah, I mean, that's a serious question because some people do get tired of their job.
I agree.
But they've been doing it in the family for so many years, and they need a break.
Right.
And I think, coming together and saying, hey, let's have this conversation again. Let's write down all the jobs and let's like divvy them up again. Let's start over from scratch and let's see if we can, compromise on some of the things that we have to do around the house. If we can you can take what I was doing and I can take maybe what you were doing.
Right. I definitely don't think that because you picked a job, that means you're stuck with that job for the rest of your life. I actually think there are different reasons why a person might end up changing.
Yeah.
One could be just because they don't like it anymore, and so they come back to their husband, their wife, their significant other, and they say, hey, why don't we try to redivide them again? Another could just be circumstances of life. Early on in our marriage, before we had kids, we had certain jobs, and then once we had kids, it totally changed. I remember for a while, I was the one taking the kids to school every day and picking them up because April really couldn't do that. Now, they go to the same school she goes to, so that's her responsibility. So sometimes the situations of life end up changing things, so you're never usually stuck with the same thing forever.
Yeah. But I think if it's something that you begin to loathe, then you actually might have to sit down and say, hey, I need you to take this for a bit.
Right. That's true.
Just even if it's just for a break. Even if you say, hey, can you take this on for a couple of months? I really need some time.
But you also got to think outside the box on this too. Remember, if you have children a certain age in life, you probably don't have to do those chores at all. Seriously, our kids are getting to the age now where they actually wash the dishes.
Right.
And they can do a pretty good job doing it.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
I don't have to do it anymore necessarily the rest of my life. I can pass it on to my kids. There's also other things around the house that neither one of you has to do. Cutting the grass. We don't cut the grass at our house. I pay somebody to do that. It's my responsibility to make sure it's done, but I'm not the one actually out there pushing the mower. See what I'm saying? So think outside the box on some of these. Some of these chores and things like that, you may be able to outsource and get somebody else to do them, like your kids.
Look at him. You can also divvy up the days. Like, you take 3 days, I take the other 2 or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It can be where you take turns doing something so that somebody doesn't feel like it's always on their shoulders every single day.
Right.
So if you're in charge of doing the dishes or vacuuming or whatever, you can say, hey, you do dishes Mondays and Wednesdays.
Right.
I do Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Right.
We do it together on Friday. Whatever. Those are things that you can split.
It's really up to you. You have your own family, you have your own situation. You by no means have to follow any kind of traditional way of doing it. You don't have to do anything off the deep end. It doesn't really matter. It's up to you guys, what you decide and what you like. So if there's something that you're not enjoying anymore, it's appropriate for you to bring that back to your wife, to your husband, to your significant other and say, I'm tired of doing this. Can we find another way? And then you guys have to work through that thing. But it doesn't have to be a certain way just because that's how you grew up or that's how you saw it or that's how they do it on TV. You know what I'm saying?
So go watch episode 11 if you haven't.
See it.
That'll give you a lot of information on that. So make sure you put in your comments, go ahead and put in your questions, anything you have, and we will answer those questions on Ask John and April.
We'll make sure that we get to you next time.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Also hit that notification bell to be notified about our next episode.
See you next time.
Bye.